Petals in the Rain. The rain tapped against the windows of turning pages, creating a soothing rhythm that matched the quiet atmosphere inside the small bookstore. Olivia Winters moved between the shelves, straightening spines with a practiced hand, pausing occasionally to brush her chestnut hair from her face. At 32, the soft lines around her eyes told stories of both joy and sorrow, laughter and tears. "Mom, I finished shelving the new arrivals," called a voice from the back of the store. Olivia smiled as her 10-year-old son Benjamin emerged carrying an empty box. "Already? You're getting faster every day. Does that mean I get extra computer time tonight?" Benjamin grinned, revealing the gap where his front tooth had been just last week. "Nice try," Olivia laughed, ruffling his hair. "Homework first, then we'll talk about computer time." The bell above the door chimed, and Olivia turned to see her best friend Patricia enter, shaking raindrops from her umbrella. "This weather is absolutely miserable," Patricia declared, making her way to the counter. "Though I suppose it's good for business. Nothing better than curling up with a book when it's pouring outside." Olivia sighed, glancing around at the empty store. That would be the theory. Reality has been a bit different lately. Patricia's expression softened. "Still struggling?" "The bills keep coming, but the customers don't," Olivia admitted quietly, making sure Benjamin couldn't hear from where he was now arranging a display. "I'm 3 months behind on rent. I've tried everything, events, a coffee corner, social media. Nothing's working." "Have you considered the offer from that development company?" Patricia asked, lowering her voice. Olivia's jaw tightened. "Selling isn't an option. This place was Thomas's dream before." Her voice caught. Even after 3 years, speaking about her late husband still brought a fresh wave of grief. "This bookstore is all Benjamin and I have left of him." Patricia squeezed her hand. "I understand. But you have to be practical, too." "I'll figure something out," Olivia insisted. "I always do." After Patricia left, Olivia retreated to the small office behind the counter, allowing herself a moment of vulnerability away from Benjamin's watchful eyes. The financial statements spread before her told a grim story. Without a miracle, Turning Pages would close within months. That evening, after tucking Benjamin into bed with a chapter from his favorite adventure story, Olivia curled up on her worn sofa with a cup of tea and Thomas's photograph beside her. "I'm trying," she whispered to the smiling face in the frame. "I promised you I'd keep the store going, but I don't know how much longer I can fight." She ran her finger over his face, remembering the warmth of his touch, the sound of his laugh. The night of the accident had shattered her world, leaving her to pick up the pieces alone. Since then, she'd built walls around her heart, focusing solely on Benjamin and the bookstore. "I miss you," she murmured. "Every single day." The rain continued its steady patter against the windows of their small apartment above the bookstore, a reminder of how life continued to move forward, even when you weren't ready for it to do so. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for tonight, Olivia allowed herself to remember, to grieve, and to gather strength for whatever lay ahead. Fortune and Frost, the glossy black car, pulled up outside Turning Pages, drawing curious glances from pedestrians on the quiet street. Nathaniel Reed stepped out, his tailored charcoal suit a stark contrast to the colorful storefronts of the neighborhood. At 41, he carried himself with the confidence of a man accustomed to getting what he wanted. His dark hair, touched with silver at the temples, framed features that rarely softened with genuine emotion. "This is it?" he asked, barely masking his disdain as he addressed the younger man who emerged from the passenger side. "Yes, Mr. Reed," replied Daniel, his assistant. "Turning Pages bookstore. The last holdout on the block." Nathaniel surveyed the quaint storefront with its hand-painted sign and window displays. Reed Developments had acquired nearly the entire block for their new luxury retail complex. This small, struggling bookstore was the final obstacle to his vision, a vision worth millions. "Let's make this quick," he said, straightening his tie before pushing open the door. The bell's cheerful chime seemed at odds with his mood as he entered. The scent of old books and freshly brewed coffee greeted him, along with the sight of a woman shelving books on a ladder. She turned at the sound of the bell, and for a fleeting moment, Nathaniel felt an unexpected jolt of recognition. though he was certain they'd never met. "Welcome to Turning Pages," Olivia said warmly, descending the ladder. Her smile faltered slightly as she took in his expensive suit and stern expression. "Can I help you find something?" "I believe you received correspondence from my company," Nathaniel replied, his tone businesslike. "I'm Nathaniel Reed, CEO of Reed Developments." The warmth vanished from Olivia's eyes, replaced by a steely resolve he hadn't anticipated. "Mr. Reed, I was wondering when you'd stop sending letters and show up in person." "Then you understand why I'm here," he said. "My offer is more than generous for a business that's clearly struggling." Olivia crossed her arms. "Generous or not, this store isn't for sale. Ms. Winters." "Mrs." she corrected sharply. "Mrs. Winters," he amended. "I understand sentimentality, but business is business. Your building is the final piece needed for a development that will revitalize this entire area." "Revitalize?" Olivia echoed incredulously. "You mean replace these small businesses with overpriced boutiques that none of the locals can afford?" Daniel shifted uncomfortably beside Nathaniel, who remained unmoved by her passion. He'd faced countless emotional pleas throughout his career. "I'm prepared to increase my offer by 15%, Nathaniel stated. "But my patience has limits." "So does mine, Mr. Reed," Olivia retorted. "This store belonged to my husband. It's my son's heritage. No amount of money will change that." Before Nathaniel could respond, a young boy emerged from the back room, his curious eyes moving between the adults. "Mom?" Benjamin questioned hesitantly. "Everything's fine, sweetheart," Olivia assured him, her expression softening instantly. "Why don't you finish your homework upstairs?" After Benjamin reluctantly retreated, Nathaniel found himself momentarily thrown off balance. He hadn't expected a child to be part of the equation, though it shouldn't have mattered. Business was business after all. "Mrs. Winters, I appreciate your position, but sentimentality won't pay your bills," he said, his voice lowered. "My sources tell me you're behind on rent. How long before you're forced to close anyway?" Olivia's face paled, but her resolve didn't waver. "That's my concern, not yours. Now, unless you're interested in buying a book, I'll have to ask you to leave." For the first time in years, Nathaniel found himself at a loss. Usually, his targets crumbled under financial pressure or eagerly accepted his offers. This stubborn woman with fire in her eyes was unexpected. "This isn't over," he warned as he turned to leave. "You're fighting a losing battle." "Some battles are worth fighting, even when the odds are against you," she called after him. "Something I suspect you've forgotten, Mr. Reed." As the door closed behind him, Nathaniel found himself strangely unsettled by the encounter. There was something about Olivia Winters, her defiance, her dignity despite clear financial struggles, that had gotten under his skin. "What now, sir?" Daniel asked as they returned to the car. Nathaniel's jaw tightened as he cast one final glance at the bookstore. "Find me everything there is to know about Olivia Winters in that bookstore. Everyone has a breaking point. We just need to find hers." Between the pages, the afternoon sun filtered through the bookstore windows, casting golden rectangles on the worn wooden floor. Olivia rang up a purchase for an elderly customer, managing a genuine smile despite the weight of worry that had become her constant companion since Nathaniel Reed's visit 3 weeks ago. "Mrs. Lancaster, I think you'll love this one," she said, handing over a wrapped package. "It has just the right amount of mystery and romance." "Your recommendations never disappoint, dear," the older woman replied, patting Olivia's hand. "How's little Benjamin doing with his science project?" "Building a volcano that will probably destroy my kitchen," Olivia laughed. "But he's excited, which is what matters." After Mrs. Lancaster left, Olivia's smile faded. The store had been quieter than usual, and she couldn't help wondering if Reed Developments was somehow responsible. 3 neighboring businesses had already closed, accepting Nathaniel's offers and relocating to other parts of town. The bell chimed, and Olivia looked up, freezing when she saw Nathaniel Reed himself enter. This time he was alone and dressed more casually in a sweater and dark jeans, though still exuding wealth and power. "Mr. Reed," she acknowledged coolly. "Come to increase your offer again?" To her surprise, he shook his head. Actually, I came for a book. Olivia raised an eyebrow skeptically. Really? There are larger bookstores downtown with much better selections. But do they have knowledgeable owners who can recommend something for a restless mind? He challenged, and for the first time she noticed the faint shadows under his eyes. Studying him cautiously, Olivia moved from behind the counter. What do you typically enjoy reading? Financial reports, legal briefs, he replied dryly. Despite herself, Olivia's lips twitched. Not exactly bedtime reading. When was the last time you read for pleasure? Nathaniel hesitated, and something in his expression shifted. My mother used to read Hemingway to me as a boy. Before she died? The unexpected vulnerability in his admission caught Olivia off guard. Follow me, she said after a moment, leading him to a section in the back. Hemingway is here, but may I suggest something different? Sometimes familiar authors carry too many memories. She selected a book and handed it to him. This might suit you. Nathaniel examined the cover. I've never heard of this author. That's the beauty of independent bookstores. Mr. Reed, we introduce you to voices you might otherwise never hear. Their fingers brushed as he took the book, and Olivia quickly withdrew her hand, disconcerted by the unexpected warmth of the contact. He purchased the book without further comment, but instead of leaving, he settled into one of the comfortable reading chairs by the window. Olivia watched him warily as she continued her work, expecting some hidden agenda to reveal itself. An hour passed, and he remained absorbed in the book. When Benjamin burst in from school, Nathaniel looked up, his expression softening as he observed the interaction between mother and son. Can we have pizza tonight? Benjamin asked hopefully. Nice try, Olivia smiled. It's chicken casserole night. But he groaned dramatically. Tell you what, she compromised. Help me with inventory for an hour, and we'll consider pizza this weekend. Benjamin sighed theatrically before noticing Nathaniel. Hey, you're the man from before, the one who wants to buy our store. Nathaniel closed his book. I am, he acknowledged, surprising Olivia with his honesty. Why? Benjamin asked directly. Don't you know it's important to us? Benjamin, Olivia cautioned. It's all right, Nathaniel said, addressing the boy with unexpected respect. I build new things, and sometimes that means old things have to change. But not everything old needs changing. Benjamin replied earnestly. Mom says some things get better with age, like books and memories. Something flickered in Nathaniel's eyes. Recognition, perhaps, or regret. He glanced at Olivia, who was watching the exchange with a mixture of pride and apprehension. Your son makes a compelling argument, Mrs. Winters, he said quietly, rising to leave. He placed the book on the counter. I'll take this and perhaps a recommendation for when I finish. After he left, Olivia picked up the book, surprised to find a business card tucked inside with a handwritten note. I'd like to continue our conversation. No business, just books. She should throw it away. She knew better than to trust the wolf at her door. And yet, she found herself slipping the card into her pocket, puzzled by the complex man who seemed both adversary and something indefinably more. Storms and shelter thunder crashed overhead as rain poured down in sheets, turning the streets into small rivers. Olivia rushed through the bookstore, placing buckets under new leaks in the ceiling. The historic building had always had issues, but tonight's storm was exposing every weakness in the aging structure. Benjamin, stay back from that corner, she called out, eyeing the dangerous sag in the ceiling. The wiring might be exposed. As if punctuating her warning, the lights flickered ominously before plunging the store into darkness. Mom? Benjamin's voice wavered slightly. It's okay, honey. Just stay where you are while I find the flashlight. Before she could locate it, the bell above the door jangled, and a beam of light cut through the darkness. Olivia! Benjamin? Nathaniel's voice was tight with concern. We're here, she replied, surprised by his unexpected appearance. The power's out. His flashlight illuminated her face, then moved to assess the room. I was driving by and saw the water pouring down your storefront. This looks bad. Another crack sounded from above, and a new stream of water broke through near the register. The roof can't take much more, Nathaniel said grimly, moving to examine the worst areas. You can't stay here tonight. It's not safe. We don't have many options, Olivia admitted reluctantly. The nearest hotel is fully booked with people evacuated from the riverside. Nathaniel hesitated only briefly. I have a penthouse downtown. Plenty of space. You'll both stay there tonight. We couldn't possibly— This isn't negotiable, he cut her off, his tone softening as he added, Please, Olivia, for Benjamin's safety if nothing else. Over the past few weeks, an unlikely friendship had formed between them. What had begun with occasional visits to purchase books had evolved into conversations about literature, business, and life. Nathaniel had revealed little about himself, but Olivia had sensed a loneliness that mirrored her own. Still, accepting his help felt like crossing a boundary she wasn't sure she should cross. Another section of ceiling sagged dangerously. Okay, she relented, just for tonight. 20 minutes later, they entered Nathaniel's penthouse, a stark, minimalist space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Despite its size and obvious luxury, it felt surprisingly empty. Devoid of personal touches, it's like a hotel, Benjamin whispered. Wide-eyed. Benjamin, Olivia chided softly. Though she had thought the same, Nathaniel showed them to guest rooms, provided dry clothes, and ordered food. As Benjamin dozed on the sofa after dinner, Olivia found herself standing at the windows beside Nathaniel, watching the storm rage outside. Thank you, she said quietly. You didn't have to do this. I wanted to, he replied, his usually guarded expression open in the dim light. Olivia, about the store? Please, not tonight, she interrupted, tension returning to her shoulders. I can't bear to think about losing it right now. That's not— He stopped, running a hand through his hair in frustration. I've been trying to find a way to tell you. I'm withdrawing my development plans for your block. Olivia stared at him, disbelieving. What? Why? The project doesn't make sense anymore, he said carefully. You mean financially? I mean for me, he admitted. These past weeks, seeing what that store means to you and Benjamin, understanding what community really looks like, it's changed my perspective. Olivia studied his face, searching for deception but finding only sincerity. I don't understand. This is what you do. You build things, regardless of what stands in the way. Perhaps it's time I built something different, Nathaniel said softly. Something that preserves, rather than destroys. The moment stretched between them, filled with unspoken emotions. There's something else you should know, he continued, his voice lower. The reason I first came into your store that day, I knew your husband, Thomas. Olivia felt the air leave her lungs. What? We were roommates in college. We lost touch, but when I saw the store's name on the acquisition list, I recognized it from his old dreams. I didn't connect it to you until I saw your photo in the business records. All this time, you knew, she whispered, a mixture of hurt and confusion washing over her. I thought it would be easier to acquire the property if you didn't know, he admitted. But then I met you, met Benjamin, and everything changed. The confession hung in the air between them, reshaping everything Olivia thought she knew about their interactions. I need some time, she said finally, stepping away from him. This is a lot to process. He nodded, respecting her need for space. Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready to talk. As she retreated to her room, Olivia felt something shift inside her. Not forgiveness, not yet, but perhaps the first tentative step toward a new understanding. New Chapter's golden autumn light streamed through the newly repaired windows of turning pages, illuminating the transformed space. Fresh paint brightened the walls, new shelves gleamed with carefully arranged books, and comfortable reading nooks invited visitors to linger. The once struggling bookstore now hummed with activity as customers browsed, chatted, and sipped coffee from the expanded cafe corner. Olivia moved through the space, adjusting displays and greeting regulars with genuine warmth. 6 months had passed since the night of the storm, 6 months of rebuilding, not just the physical structure of the store, but her own understanding of second chances. Mrs. Winters, "This place is wonderful," exclaimed a customer, clutching a newly purchased novel. "I can't believe how different it looks." "Thank you," Olivia smiled. It's been quite a journey. After learning the truth about Nathaniel's connection to Thomas, Olivia had needed distance to process her feelings. What had begun as anger at his deception, at the manipulation, had gradually given way to understanding as she allowed herself to see beyond her initial judgment. The bookstore's transformation had come through an unexpected partnership. Rather than buying her out, Nathaniel had proposed a different arrangement: investment without interference. His business acumen combined with her passion for books had breathed new life into Turning Pages, creating a community space that honored Thomas's original vision while embracing new possibilities. The bell above the door chimed, and Olivia looked up to see Nathaniel enter, carrying a small package. Over the months, his appearance had softened, his suits often replaced by casual attire, the hardness in his eyes giving way to something warmer, especially when they rested on her. "Delivery for the owner," he announced, approaching the counter. "More rare books?" she asked, eyeing the package. "Something a bit different this time," he replied, "though it might belong on your shelves one day." Curious, Olivia unwrapped the package to find a leather-bound journal. Opening it, she discovered pages filled with Nathaniel's handwriting, a story she realized with surprise. "You wrote this?" she asked, touched by the gesture. "I've been working on it for months," he admitted, uncharacteristically nervous. "It's about a man who spent his life building empires of glass and steel, never realizing he was constructing his own prison until a woman and her son showed him what really matters." Olivia felt tears well in her eyes as she gently closed the journal. "Nathaniel, I know we agreed to take things slowly," he said quietly. "And I've respected your boundaries. But I need you to know that meeting you and Benjamin wasn't just about rediscovering my connection to Thomas or finding redemption for my past. It's about the future, a future I never imagined wanting until you showed me what it could look like." The distance between them seemed to vanish as Olivia stepped around the counter to stand before him. "I was so afraid," she confessed, "not just of losing the store, but of feeling anything again. After Thomas died, I convinced myself that loving once was enough, that I couldn't survive that kind of loss twice in one lifetime." "And now?" Nathaniel asked, hope evident in his voice. "Now I understand that the heart doesn't have limits," she said softly. "Thomas will always be part of me, part of Benjamin. But that doesn't mean there isn't room for new love, different but equally real." Benjamin burst through the door then, his school backpack bouncing as he rushed toward them. "Nathaniel! Did you bring it? Did you ask her?" "Benjamin," Olivia cautioned, giving Nathaniel a questioning look. "I might have had an accomplice in planning today," Nathaniel admitted with a smile. Benjamin grinned up at them. "He's taking us sailing this weekend on his boat." I helped him pick out the journal, too. "Did you like it, Mom?" "I loved it," she assured him, marveling at the easy bond that had formed between Nathaniel and her son. Later that evening, after Benjamin had gone to bed, Olivia and Nathaniel sat together on the small balcony outside her apartment. The bookstore lights glowed below them, a beacon in the quiet street. "I never expected any of this," Nathaniel said, his fingers entwined with hers. "I came to this neighborhood to tear things down and build something new. Instead, I found myself being rebuilt." Olivia leaned against his shoulder, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "Sometimes the stories we think we're writing take unexpected turns." "The best ones always do," he murmured, pressing a gentle kiss to her temple. As stars appeared in the darkening sky, Olivia felt the last of her walls crumble away. Love had found her again, not as a replacement for what she had lost, but as a new chapter in a continuing story, one she was finally ready to embrace, one page at a time.